If you're planning a move to Greensboro, I want to share something that almost every relocation buyer tells me after they get here. At some point, the first few months, they pull me aside, they send me a text, and they say, Lynette, I really wish someone had told me this before I moved. Sometimes it's a good surprise, but sometimes it's something that they had to adjust to. And a lot of it, you really don't understand it until you actually are living here day to day. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 10 biggest surprises relocation buyers have after they move to Greensboro. So let's start with the one people feel almost immediately, usually in the first 30 days. The first surprise is the cost of living. So most people here from places like New York, Boston, California, or even the DC area, they're thinking everything in Greensboro is going to be like dirt cheap. That is not how it works here. So what's actually cheaper is your housing, your mortgage payment, your property taxes, and your overall cost to own a home are usually much lower compared to where a lot of my clients are coming from. And that is what creates that big sigh of relief moment, knowing that the housing cost is a lot less here than where a lot of my clients are coming from. But your day-to-day spending, like your groceries, eating out, utilities, that stuff is not bargain level, and it's pretty normal. So I've had a client from New Jersey tell me that it's not that everything is super cheap here in Greensboro. It is that for the first time, they kind of feel like they're not drowning. They can pay their bills and still save a little bit. And that is the real surprise that I hear from a lot of my relocation buyers. So like I said, Greensboro is not dirt cheap living. You're not gonna find a house for $25,000 and go to the grocery store, buy a full month's worth of groceries for like $50. That's not gonna work. Greensboro is not about dirt cheap living. It's about balanced living, and that actually feels sustainable. So the second big surprise is the size and feel of Greensboro. So a lot of people picture this little bitty tiny southern town with a few streets and maybe one shopping center and a street light. That's not Greensboro. Then they get here and they realize that Greensboro is a real city. We have over 300,000 residents, multiple hospitals, several colleges, a downtown with restaurants and events, a performing arts center, a baseball stadium, parks, museums, and major employers. We got it going on here in Greensboro. And it's bigger than they actually expected. But at the same time, it's still easy to get around the city. You can usually get across town in about 15 to 25 minutes. You're not sitting in traffic for over an hour just to go out to dinner. You can leave the house at 6:15 and make a 7 o'clock appointment, downtown or at a restaurant. You don't feel that rushed vibe that happens in some of the larger cities. So that combination catches a lot of people off guard. They realize that they have access to city stuff without the daily grind of those big cities. So the third surprise is how much the Triad actually matters. Before people move here, they keep hearing Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and High Point, but it doesn't really mean anything yet. But once they start living here, they quickly realize that their life isn't just in Greensboro. It is across the whole Triad area. So I have clients who live in Greensboro, work in Winston-Salem, they go shopping for furniture in High Point, and on the weekends, they are in Oak Ridge and Sedgefield and Summerfield and all the things. And at first they think, I'm moving to Greensboro, I'm going to live, I'm going to play, everything is just going to be about Greensboro. But a few months in, they come back and tell me that they didn't realize that they would be, living and playing and working in all three of the cities. And that is pretty normal here. Locals think in terms of the whole region, not just one city. When we think, of the Triad, we're really thinking about Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and High Point. All of it collectively together. And that is a surprise for a lot of newcomers, especially when they are choosing where they want to buy a home. It's not just, do I like this neighborhood? It's, does this location work when my life stretches across the three cities? That is really important. So the fourth thing that surprises almost everybody is the people. So folks from big cities sometimes think that Southern friendliness is gonna feel fake, and that's not it. People from very small towns worry that the neighbors will be all in their business all of the time, and then what they find out is that Greensboro is a middle ground. People are genuinely nice. Some people are not. You just have to learn. We do have a lot of nice people here. And you'll get waves when you are walking your dog. Someone will hold the door for you. The cashier, when you go to the grocery store, when you go to Food Line and Harris Teeter, they'll ask you, how's your day and how you doing and all that stuff. And that's nice, you know what I mean? And your neighbors, they'll introduce themselves to you, but at the same time, people tend to respect boundaries and they mind their business too. So while they are friendly and they do speak and they're welcoming, they're not overbearing, like all in your business. You may have let me take that back. You may have some neighbors that are all in your business, but for the most part, most people here, they just kind of mind their business. And like I said, we're friendly, we're nice, but we're not all over you, all in your business. So the fifth surprise is traffic, and this one is a fun one. So my clients that come from places like Atlanta, DC, LA, Washington State are almost always shocked that first week. They get in their car, they drive around, and they say, I cannot believe how easy it is to get to places. But then at some point, they will hit Wendover Avenue at 5 o'clock or Highway 29 right during rush hour traffic, or even on Battleground, where those stoplights seem to catch you at every light. And they realize that there are specific areas that locals try to avoid at certain times. So here's the thing. We don't have that big city gridlock. We just have predictable, avoidable pockets like Wendover near shopping centers. We'll call some slowdowns because there's so many people trying to turn in and out of the shopping centers. You have Highway 29. That gets really heavy during commute time, especially around between 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning, and at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when that highway can get a little backed up. Gate City Boulevard around the Coliseum, that one kind of gets busy when there are, concerts and events that are happening. Battleground has a lot of stoplights like we talked about. So, it's not the smoothest rush hour route, but once people understand that, they are amazed at how easy driving around almost anywhere in the city is. Now, before I get into the next set of surprises, allow me to take a minute and reintroduce myself. If you do not know me, my name is Lynette Selby, and I am a real estate agent right here in beautiful Greensboro, North Carolina. And if you are thinking about buying or relocating, then we need to talk. But I do have some resources for you before we talk. I have a free relocation guide that will tell you everything you need to know about this beautiful city. And if you're thinking about buying a home, I have a free home buyer roadmap. And that'll give you the steps to purchasing a home, one step at a time. So make sure you check the links in the description box so you can download your relocation guide. You can download your free home buyer roadmap and get all those fun things. And also, if you want to skip all of that and just kind of talk with me and get true personalized guidance, all you got to do is schedule a quick call with me. I will leave a link in the description box. All you got to do, click that link, find a day and time that works best for you, and we can connect on the call. We can talk about your goals, your timelines, and just what it's like to live here in Greensboro. But like I said, all of that stuff is in that description box. So check it out, but after you finish this video first. But now let's get back into the video. So the sixth thing that really throws a lot of people off is how different the neighborhoods feel from one to another. So when you're looking online from out of state, everything kind of blends together and kind of looks the same. You see pictures, you see square footage, and you see a price, and you look at it and you're like, okay, this looks fine. But once you get here and start driving around, you realize that the vibe, it kind of changes quickly. So there's a neighborhood, Reedy Fork Ranch, that has a lot of new construction homes, and it has a really good community feel. It has amenities, sidewalks, and a neighborhood school. It has swimming pools and gyms and all the things. So this is a good option if those things are important to you. Then there is a neighborhood, Adams Farm, that feels a little more established. They have a lake, there's walking trails, and that one too has a neighborhood school, and it has more of mature landscaping. Then there's Sedgefield that gives you more of a, well, I guess you could say a country club, higher end feel. And then there's Starmount, Lindley Park, which have those older homes, big trees, and these areas have a lot of character. And then you have downtown, and that is a completely different energy, a totally different vibe, with condos that are close to the ballpark, restaurants, and, some of the art centers. And these are all, walkable. I mean, you can drive around downtown if you want to, but a lot of times you can just get out and take a stroll, and a lot of people like that too. And that catches a lot of people off guard, but in a good way, because it means that you do have real options. It's not that everything in Greensboro is the same. You have a lot of different options to choose from. So the seventh surprise is how big of a role outdoor living really is here in Greensboro. People do not move to Greensboro because of, they want this big outdoor living thing. We don't have mountains and we don't have the beaches, but once they arrive, they do start noticing the trails, the lakes, the parks, and it all becomes part of their routine without them even trying or even realizing that that's what they wanted in the first place. We have, a greenway system that connects a big chunk of the city. We have Country Park, which is a favorite for a lot of people because you can walk, you can take your kids there, you can fish. We have Lake Brant, Lake Higgins, and Lake Jeanette, and you can go kayaking, you can go paddleboarding if you want to. Of course, you can go fishing. We also have Burmill Park, which gives you, trails and fun activities that you can do with your family. Now, the eighth surprise is our weather personality. So I've made a lot of videos about Greensboro's weather, so make sure you check those out, but after you finish this one. But the weather here can be dramatic. It's like all over the place. I mean, it's not like super extreme where you have these, you'll get 15, 20 inches of snow, or it's like 150 degrees in the summertime. It's not like that, but it does change its mind a lot. I don't think anywhere gets 150 degrees, but you guys know what I'm talking about. But anyway, you might wake up and it's chilly, you need a jacket, and all of that is happening in the morning, but by lunchtime, it's hot. You want to take off that jacket, you need to put on your shorts, you need a short sleeve shirt, and then, if it's in the spring and summer, then those thunderstorms roll around and we get a lot of evening thunderstorms and things like that in the spring and the summer. In the spring, the pollen is heavy. Again, I've done a video about the pollen here in Greensboro, so make sure you check that out. You'll see it all over your car. You'll feel it, especially if you have allergies. And in the summertime, it's hot, it's humid, but it's not every day, it's not all day, and it's not for months straight. And in the winter, sometimes we will get a dusting of snow that will completely shut the city down. It'll shut schools down. It's just a big deal here. We've gotten a little bit better with how we handle snow and ice and all of that, but still it's extreme. So if the meteorologist on WFNY, that's my favorite channel, but if Tim Buckley will say, guys, we are going to get some snow, so be prepared. Everybody runs straight to the grocery store. We're getting the bread. We're getting the milk. We're getting everything we need to get so we can be in place when this snowfall comes. You'll think we're having like a blizzard, but it's not. We may be getting like 2 to 3 inches of snow. Schools are shut down. Schools are shut down for maybe 3-5 days, sometimes even longer. It's just a big deal. So that is something that you have to get used to. So the surprise for many newcomers is not, wow, this is just totally unbearable. It's not that. It's more of like okay, I was not prepared for how fast it can change in a single day, but I'm here for it. And the ninth surprise is around new construction. So people coming from dense, older cities are amazed by how many new construction communities we have, in and around Greensboro. They think, okay, great. We will just buy something brand new and that solves all of our problems. And then they start touring and realize that not all builders are the same. They don't offer the same incentives and they don't have all the same base prices. Others charge for everything. They charge for all the upgrades. Some builders have great communication and solid warranty programs. They require a little bit more patience and realistic expectations. They do have incentives, but these incentives can change from month to month depending on interest rates and preferred lenders. So two homes that look very similar online can feel very different in person once you see the finishes, the floor plans, and, just the overall quality. And that is a big surprise for many buyers who assume that new is always best. And the 10th and final surprise is probably my favorite, and it's the one that matters the most. And that's Greensboro really feels like home faster than many people were expecting. And I really love it because it does feel like home. It is home. Well, it's home to me, but I want it to be home for you too. And I've had a lot of clients that, they're moving here. They're nervous. They don't know what to expect. And they're a little stressed out, wondering if they made the right choice. But then after a couple of months, I get messages from them and they're already found their favorite grocery store. Their kids are settled in at school. They have their own little social network forming and they just kind of feel at home. And I love getting those messages. Love it, love it, love it. I get those messages that their neighbors feel so nice and that everything just kind of feels right. And they go from feeling like outsiders to feeling like they belong. And it usually happens, a lot faster than you think it would. The pace of life, the friendliness, the adaptability, and the way that the city is kind of laid out all contributes to that. People come here for practical reasons, but they also, stay because it feels like home. It's a good place to live and they feel it and they know it. And they tend to kind of stick around and they don't, once, jobs end and things happen, a lot of them still stay put and I love that. So those are my 10 biggest surprises that relocation buyers have after they move to Greensboro. Some of them are fun, some of them take a little bit of adjustment, but together they give you a much more realistic picture of what life really is like when you arrive. And if you're planning to move, I would love to know which one of these surprised you the most. Just tell me in the comments. I do read each and every comment and I will respond to all of your comments. And it helps me know what type of videos to make next. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. You take care. Have an amazing week and I'll see you later. Yeah, have a good one. Bye-bye.